Imagine this: you deploy your Spring Boot microservice. Everything works fine. A few hours later, boom, your logs explode with this scary error. java.lang.ClassNotFoundException, com.example.userService. But wait, the class is in your jar file. So how on earth did it vanish? Today, we're diving into a real-world JVM mystery that even senior developers trip over when the JVM itself forgets about a class that clearly exists. Now, as a beginner, you might think, if the class is in the jar, the JVM should always find it. But here's the twist: the problem isn't with the file, it's with how the JVM sees it. See, when your Spring Boot app starts, the JVM doesn't load all classes immediately. It loads them on demand. When you first use a class, say user service, the JVM goes, "Oh, you need this class? Let me load it into memory." And it does that using something called a ClassLoader. Think of ClassLoaders like different librarians in a library. The Bootstrap ClassLoader handles Java's core books, java.lang, java.util. The application ClassLoader knows about your project books, your own code and dependencies. And frameworks like Spring Boot sometimes bring their own librarians to handle things like dynamic proxies or plugin reloading. So far, everything's fine. But here comes the problem. In production, microservices often get restarted, reloaded, or redeployed, sometimes automatically through Docker or Kubernetes. Every redeploy creates a new class loader. Think of it like hiring a new librarian for the same library. The JVM expects the old librarian to leave once the new one comes in. But what if the old one is still hanging around, holding onto some books or keeping threads alive? Now, when your app runs again, there are two librarians, one old, one new, and both have different versions of your class. If the new JVM code accidentally talks to the old librarian, it might ask for a class that no longer exists in that scope. That's when you get the dreaded ClassNotFoundException, com.example.userService. The class is there, but the JVM can't see it anymore because it's looking through the wrong lens, the wrong class loader. I actually faced this in production a few years ago. Our Spring Boot service was reloaded frequently inside Tomcat. One of our background threads wasn't shutting down properly on redeploy. That thread held references to classes from the old ClassLoader. After a few redeployments, boom, we started getting ClassNotFoundExceptions, even though everything was in the jar. And guess what? Our Metaspace memory was also continuously growing. That was a clear sign of a ClassLoader leak. If you ever face this issue, here's how you investigate it. Run this command in your terminal: jcmd_pidgc.class_stats grep your class. Or open Visual VM and check how many ClassLoaders exist. If you see dozens or hundreds of ClassLoader instances for the same application, congrats, you've just found your culprit. The solution isn't in a JVM flag, it's in your code. Make sure all your background threads are shut down properly in a pre-destroy or disposable bean method. Avoid static references to Spring Beans or classes, they keep the old ClassLoader alive. And if you're using reflection, always use the correct ClassLoader. In Tomcat, you can even configure it to automatically clear references on undeploy. So, what's the key takeaway? The JVM didn't lose your class. It was just looking through the wrong ClassLoader. Once the old one was gone, memory was clean again. Remember, the JVM never forgets unless your ClassLoader leaks.